joined by the new Newcastle United manager, Steve Bruce. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, gents. How are you?
Evening,
Very well, very well. First, it's a sort of obvious question, but I'm not sure if I know the answer. Are you enjoying it?
I am really, really enjoying it. Yeah, why? Yeah, absolutely. I've been in the job now a couple of weeks. It's been a bit of a blur, I have to say that. Off to China and back again, but I've enjoyed the last a week in particular because I've got in the training ground and got to work with the players, which is always the enjoyable bit.
Now, I have heard people saying since you took this job, there's a bit of a masochist about you. You've done Villa and Birmingham, you've done United and Wednesday, you've done Sunderland and Newcastle. I mean, obviously you didn't plan it like that, but have you ever thought, I must be mad here?
My dad used to say to me I was mad full stop doing it, you know. So yeah, it's just the way it's worked out. It's incredible that I've worked in 2-3 cities for rival clubs. It's just the way it's worked out. I never really thought about it at all, but it's panned out that way. But how lucky am I to still be involved after all these years? 20 years now I've been involved and still going.
You're not lucky, kid. You're not. You've earned it, and I'm delighted for you. You know, and I know you've caused a few waves because Sheffield Wednesday fans were fantastic, and they probably think you hate them, but you don't. I know you don't, because you couldn't turn this one down, could you, mate?
No, I really, really couldn't. I mean, hey, listen, I let Simon down years ago, which
he's moaned about that. He has mentioned it.
Which I've lived through. But this time I couldn't turn down the opportunity, and I thought I shook the chairman by the hand, and he understood why the pull of it. The easiest thing, Ian, would have been to say no, but I couldn't. I wanted to have a crack at it. It is, coming home. Newcastle never really leaves you, and I just wanted to have a go.
Also, Sunderland, they weren't ever fair to you, mate, would they? Because, do you know what I mean? There was always that little bit in the background that they knew you came from Newcastle. So,
yeah, I mean, it only ever raises its head when you come up against it slightly, and as soon as you come, you lose a couple of games, and that one fortunately got levelled at me. But ultimately, if results go your way, and you be positive in your results, and then everything's okay. It's when you're up against it. Is when you need that support, and I know the Newcastle fans will absolutely come the start of the season. They'll be there cheering on that team like no other club can. They're incredible support over the years, unwavering in their support for the club, and I just hope I can keep them moving forward and give them something to shout about.
But you will be aware. I mean, you do know that adverse reaction that came from Sheffield Wednesday fans. I'm sure you understand that, and also that there was one. Let's be honest, from certain sections of Newcastle fans as well.
Of course, I understood. Well, Rafa was that popular, of course. So whoever was going to stand in the shoes, there was going to be big boots to fill. I've said it many, many times. And at the end of the day, there's not many Rafa Benitez's out there who win Champions Leagues and what have you. So there was always going to be an adverse reaction. To the Sheffield support, they were great to me in the 3-4 months they were there, and as I said, how can you apologise to them? Because I took the action basically because it was Newcastle United and the chance to manage my hometown club, which for every Geordie is the dream job.
Yeah, but Brucey, to be honest with you, mate, you got promotion 4 times. You're a record holder from the Championship to the Premier League. You deserve that chance, and I can't believe, saying it on air, and I'm going to say it, that you never really got any chance of Man United. One of their best captains ever. I don't understand it, mate. Not being funny.
That's very, very kind of you. And back in our day, to get a job in the Premier League, back a few years ago, you usually had to take a team in there like you did. You usually had to take a team. And then, of course, when you take a team in there, no disrespect to Birmingham or Hull or Wigan, then you're always going to be up against it in terms of your statistics. It's just if you can stay up in the division. So yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things ready and this, that, and the other, but I've been delighted to be given this opportunity. That's for sure. And I honestly thought, if I'm being genuinely honest, that it would pass me by. But I got as much as a surprise of that phone call as I have done in a long, long time. But I was like a kid in a sweet shop, Ian. I have to tell you, when the phone calls come through, wow, bloody hell, wow, bring it on.
Steve,
This is a big job, and you know it's a big job, but it's one I know you've wanted for a long time. And you know my view on you. I know that the decisions that we've spoken over the last 2 or 3 years about decisions that you've made and the jobs that you've taken. I think this job sits at the right time for you. I think Ashley needs your support, and I think Newcastle needs to be galvanised. But what do you see as your biggest challenges? Because I think this is the moment. I think this is your opportunity. I think the Sunderlands and the Wigans and the Birminghams and the Palaces of the world, to some respect, are certain levels of football club. But this football club has something unique about it, despite the fact that Newcastle fans think I'm on their back and say things that necessarily they don't like. Sean Cuss has been one of them. But what do you see? Because, I know what you're capable of, but what do you see are the challenges? Is it managing Mike? Is it managing the fans' expectations? Is it getting Mike to give you more support? Is it the way that they play? What do you see the challenges for you?
I think the biggest thing, Mike has offered his support, and that can only be a good thing. He came up to the training ground the other day for the first time in a couple of years. It can only be a good thing for the football club, and to move the football club forward. I think that's the biggest challenge, though, Simon, is to take the club forward. It was only in the Championship 2 years ago.
What does that look like, Steve? Taking the club forward, what does it look like?
It looks like, I said the other day, I had a big eye opener of trying to win a cup, for example. It's going to be very difficult for Newcastle or any other club of that stature to try and win the Premier League. However, we're capable of winning an FA Cup or a League Cup. And my whole perception of it changed when I managed home. We got to a FA Cup final. And if you ask the whole supporters, where they're not the numbers of the Geordies, don't get me wrong, they had the best day of their life. They've gone to play Arsenal in a cup final. And I thought, something, we don't throw it away, but we don't take it as serious as what we should do, because everybody's channeled towards, we've got to stay up. Now, if Hull can stay up and get to a FA Cup final, then I'm convinced that Newcastle, the draw being hopefully lucky for you, you've got to have a bit of luck along the way, but you only have to win 5-6 games.
I think I've got one problem, Sean, that I want to ask him right now. Sorry to butt in. Who's going to get your goals, Steve? You've lost Rondon. I thought he was terrific. Perez. Do you know what I mean? I know you just bought one.
The club has broken its record twice in the last 6 months. Obviously, Joe Linton has just come in.
Yeah.
And
what's he like, mate?
He's a big man. I think he'll be a big hit. I mean, look, he's only young, and he's raw. And he's not your typical Brazilian way with sulky skills. He's a big, huge athlete who charges around the pitch, and he will be a fan's favourite with his attitude. And I've seen the other boy, Almiron, from a distance. Now, the only problem with Almiron, he's had a wonderful 3-4 months, but he hasn't really scored yet. So that has got to be the big challenge for all of us in the Premier League, is the hard part. We still hope that we can add one or two in the striking positions that can give us a hand. But always, as I've experienced, and probably you have in the Premier League, is scoring the goal. That's why they cost so much money. Somebody who can win you a match, can get you off your seat, is something that we're going to try and address, and hopefully we'll have a bit of success in the next week or so.
You say the fans will get behind the team, but you must be slightly concerned when you hear talk of protests for the first game against Arsenal, which is not going to get you off to a great start if that's the atmosphere which is around the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've heard that. Whether that'll take place, Sean, your guess is as good as mine. I've seen a so-called demonstration the other day. There was 12 people involved in it. It sometimes can be blown out of proportion. And I'm convinced that come the first game of the season, the supporters will be like they always are, right behind the team. Look, as I've said many times, I'm not everybody's cup of tea with getting the job. I understand that, but I'll give it as good as what I can do. I think I've acquitted myself okay over the last 20 years, and hopefully the experiences that I've had will stand me in good stead, because the easy thing would have been to say, no, I'm quite happy here at Sheffield, and the decision was I've got to have a go and have a crack at this, and I would have regretted it if I hadn't took it.
Now, something I've heard many years, you would have been the same growing up in the same era as me, is everybody who comes in talks potential. The potential for this club, whether it's a new signing, a manager, is huge. They all say it, but it never seems to fulfil its potential. Why is that?
Well, when you get 50 odd thousand and you see the stadium the way it is, and you come over the Tyne Bridge, the one thing that greets you is the stadium there. You know, it sits there. It's the pride and joy of all this area. Really, there's a football team, and like a lot of football clubs as well, it's found itself very, very difficult to try and win something. You know, there's only a few who keep winning, especially nowadays, and especially over the last 10, 15 years in particular. These clubs at the top end, the real top end ones, where they're spending huge money on top players, it's going to be very difficult to catch. So, you know, the potential, it's not really, I don't see it as potential. It is the club that it is. You know, it will hopefully win something. I hope I can get them over the line, as I said, to win a trophy. I'm not that naive to think that we could win the Premier League, but we've got to be having a go for one of the trophies, and as I said, that would be a decent start.
Steve, I mean, I think people underestimate that it is a brave decision, because there's so many things that people will perceive that could go wrong or go right, or whatever way you want to look at it. And going to a club where you've got emotional links to it, I obviously know I had one, you know, and I also know that when I took you at Palace, you weren't the fans' choice, and the fans' choice will change based upon the performance of the side. What do you think is your biggest challenge next year? Your relationship with Mike, your relationship with the fans, the performance on the pitch. What do you think are your biggest challenge?
I think all of them is to win over the support, and the challenge to the team to try and take it forward and in a way we're going to play. And you know, we went into, you know, the big thing that disappoints me a lot is you get labelled with this dinosaur.
I was going to ask you about that. And you know, and I had a conversation with you a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
We played three at the back at Crystal Palace.
You did
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, one off the front, and we were one of the first to do it. And I've done it at a few places, but sometimes you get labelled with this, you know, oh, he's a dinosaur and one for the old school. Well, there's nothing wrong with a bit of old school, but of course you have to embrace what the whole job is now, and I think that is the biggest thing I've got to overcome, is to overcome these doubts, and as I said then, is to get a team which can match everybody and try and achieve something. That's got to be the aim.
But can you get the players in who you want? There's talk of Jared Bowen. There's even been talk of a return for Andy Carroll. Can you give us any update on those?
I think I've been in the job a week and I've been linked with 25. You know.
Yes.
And,
well, which of the 25 are you going for?
He's not going to tell us, Sean.
Come on. I would love to be able to help you. As for you three guys, I'd love to tell you a couple of names, but we're working very, very hard behind the scenes. It seems very difficult these days, always, to get something over the line. But we're quietly confident that what we've got in store will stand us in good stead. Me then to gel the team together and get the best out of the team and make it work.
Now you famously, of course, captain Man United to win the title. Now you get another dream job as manager of Newcastle. Can you compare the two clubs in any way? Yes, I know Man United have won lots of trophies and Newcastle won none, but as a support, as a size of club,
there's a huge support and a passion for both sets of clubs. In that, hey, look how lucky am I? You know, I've been very, very lucky over the years to play and captain Man U for the best part of 5 years to captain. It was something that somebody had told me that when I was at Gillingham for 7 years. I said, you're barking mad, you know. So it took me a long time. It took me a long time to get there as a player, and it's obviously took me a long time to get this opportunity as a manager, and I hope I can grasp this like I did as a player. You know, I'll try every bit of me and try, Simon, to keep the emotion out of it, because you know when you're attached to it, you know I've always looked for Newcastle results, and that will never change. And it's important that I just focus on the job and make sure that we go the right way.
Steve, can I just say, and it's a bit personal, mate, I know you had a really tough year last year. You lost your mum and your dad, and I just want to say that you're an inspiration to all of us, mate. You handled it, you still do it, you've always been professional, and you know, where you started and where you are, I wish you all the luck in the world, mate, because I think you're magnificent. You're just as humble as you were when you played at the lowest club. And then when you went to Man United, you never changed, mate. So I just love you to bits.
That's very, very kind of you, and thank you very much. Very kind of you.
And there's a lot of Newcastle fans hoping you'll succeed, me included. Just finally, before you go, Steve, you got a tip for the Ashes? Know you like your cricket?
Oh, I love the cricket. Come on, we can turn these over, can't we? That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think the top order. I think the top order have got to bat well, though, and that's the big question. But down below that, with Bairstow and Root and all the boys we've got underneath there, we've got to turn them over. That's for sure.
Steve Bruce, thank you very much. Best of luck.
Be brave.
Thank you. I will. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Ian.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT.